You're listening to the Dirt Racing Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Racing Podcast. With only one event gained in last week because of the weather, we decided this week we will take a throwback Thursday approach and look at some classic World of Outlaws events at the Knoxville Raceway, some results. Plus, we'll have the Sprint Invaders with ASCS Midwest results will be first, and then we'll take the throwback look and then come back and update you for our tracks for the weekend, as it looks like we will be going racing this weekend. On Sunday night, 41 sprint cars signed in the pits at Stewart Speedway to compete between the Sprint Invaders and the ASCS Midwest Series. We'll start with heat race number 1. Picking up the win was the 2B Garrett Benson. Second, the 44 Chris Martin. Third, the 91 Sam Henderson. Fourth was the 7 of Tyler Lee. Fifth, the 5A of Alexander Vort. Sixth, the 88 S of Riley Scott. Seventh, the 63 Jack Thomas. Eighth, the 3Z of Cole Vanderheiden. Ninth, Jackson Gray in the 7G. And 10th, the 99 of Zach Dom. And then 11th, the 71 of Nathan Murders. Heat race number 2 went to Trey Meredith in the 11T. Second, the 40C of Cody Worley. Third was Joey Danley in the 14. Fourth, the 7X of Dustin Salvage. Fifth was the 50 of T-Mac Terry McCarl. Sixth was Chase Porter in the 2. Seventh was the X of Dylan Waxdall. Evan Simmerad in the 59 was 8th. Ninth was Brett Kablundi in the 77, and 10th, Brogan Carter in 88. He raced 3 with the 11X of Cole Fisher. Second, the 55 Chase Brown. Third, the 88W of Austin McCarl. Fourth, the 31 McLean Richards. Fifth, the 23S of Stu Snyder. Sixth, the 49 Josh Schneiderman. Seventh was the 16 Dustin Clark. Eighth, the 22 of Billy Alley. Ninth, the 11 XJ of Jaden Alexander, and 10th, Nate Parks in the 17. Your fourth and final heat race with Seth Bergman in 23. Second, the 1 Taz of Tasker Phillips. Third, the 57 of Cam Sorrells. Fourth, the 36 of Jason Martin. Fifth, the 81 Tanner Gebhardt. Sixth, Cam Martin in the 4. Seventh, the 2A of Austin Wood. Eighth, the 7S of Sawyer Phillips. Ninth, the 77X of John Clemundi. And Mason Heimbach in the 04 was 10th. In the dash and set up the first 8 starting spots for the A-Main. Your winner was Colton Fisher. Second, Chase Brown. Third, Austin McCarl. Fourth, Chris Martin. Fifth, Seth Bergman. Seventh, Garrett Benson. Eighth, Tasker Phillips. And ninth, Trey Meredith. In the C main would only take 2 cars to the back of the B. Your winner was Billy Alley. Second final transfer was Zach Dom. Third went to Austin Wood. Fourth, Brett Kabundi. Fifth, Jaden Alexander. Sixth, John Kabundi. Seventh, Brogan Carter. Eighth, Nathan Murders. And ninth, to Nate Parks. The B main took 4 to the back of the A. Your winner was Cam Martin. Second, Tyler Lee. Third, Josh Snyderman. Fourth and final transfer was Chase Porter. Fifth was Tanner Gebhardt. Sixth, Dustin Salvage. Seventh, Sawyer Phillips. Eighth, Evan Severad. Ninth, Riley Scott. 10th, Cole Vanderheiden. Alexander was 11th. 12th, Dustin Clark. 13th, Dylan Waxdall. 14th, Billy Alley. 15th, Jackson Gray. 16th, Mason Heimbach. Jack Thomas was 17th. And 18th, Zach Dom. Your main event, your winner was Chris Martin. Second, Austin McCarl. Third, was Chase Brown. Fourth, Seth Bergman. Fifth, Cam Martin. Sixth, Tasker Phil. Seventh, Garrett Benson. Eighth, Jason Martin. Ninth, Joe Danley. 10th, Cam Sorrells. 11th, Terry McCarl. 12th, Trey Meredith. 13th, Tyler Lee. 14th, Stu Snyder. 15th, McLean Richards. 16th, Chase Porter. 17th, Sam Henderson. 18th, Colton Fisher. 19th, John Steyerman. And 20th, Cody Worley. The next Renovators action is next Friday night at the CJ Speedway. Now we're going to our throwback to, we'll start with the April 29th of 1988 for the first night, as 46 cars would enter. Setting the quick time was the 6R Mark Kinder at 16:6:49. Second was the one of Slam and Sammy Sonell at 16:6:94. Third was the King Steve Kinder at 11 at 16:7:30. Fourth was the Wild Child in the 18 Jack Hunchild at 16:7:74. Fifth was the 48 of Dave Blaney at a 16:8:63. Sixth was the 10T of Jeff Tuttle at a 16:8:73. Seventh was Andy Hilberg in the 2 at a 16:8:77. Eighth was the 40 of the Doug Wolfgang at a 17:081. Ninth was the 10M of Tony Armstrong at a 17:142. 10th was the 1ST of Tommy Estes at a 17:165. 11th, 23 of Greg Worley at a 17:167. 12th was the 10 of Bobby Davis at a 17:232. 13th was the 49 of the new Daniel Lasowski at 17:247. 14th was the 20 of Randy Smith at a 17:256. 15th was the 39 of Lee Brewer at 17:261. 16th, 17E Chris Eash at 17:267. 17th was the 8 of Craig Keel at 17:284. 18th was the 45X of Johnny Herrera at 17:291. 19th was the 74X of Tommy Scott at 17:305. 20th was the 45 of Ray Lipsy at 17:383. 21st was the 12X of Shane Carson at 17:397. 22nd was the 7X of T-Mac Terry McCarl at 17:460. 23rd, the 57 of Danny Smith at 17:480. 24th was Jim Grafton in the 47 at 17:591. 25th, the 12 of Billy Vilhauer at the 17:626. 26th was 81 of Jerry Richard at 17:631. 27th was the 2X of Bruce Moore at 17:641. 28th, the 9J of Marlon Jones at 17:643. 29th was the 8X of Kenny McCarl at a 17:670. 30th was the 3 of TJ Giddings at a 17:678. Jerry Beck in the 27. It was at 17:837. 32nd was the 3Y of Danny Young at 17:925. Danny Tobin in the 2V was 33rd at a 17,927. Jeff Wilkie in the 76 was 34th at a 17,977. The 1W of Tim Munson, it was 35th at an 18,065. 36 was the 86 of Todd Bishop at an 18,071. 37th quick was the 2M of Galen Martin at 18,090. 38th to 52 Spike Lapelius at 18,189. 39th Gary Dunkel at 18,211. 40th the 90 Rick Haas at an 18,212. 41st was the 19 Bob Weave at an 18,319. Bobby Houseman in the 18B was 42nd at an 18,374. 43rd was the 96 of Tom Whiting at 18,538. Terry Thorson in the 1J was 44th at an 18,581. 45th to 77 of Gabby Lusk at 18,718. And 46 Jerry Jensen in the 4 at 19,700. The heat race 1 went to Danny Smith, second Lee Brewer, third Steve Kinzer, fourth and final transfer Greg Rowley. Fifth was Tommy Scott, sixth Andy Hilberg, seventh Bruce Moore, eighth Gary Dunkel, ninth Jerry Mack, 10th Tim Munson, and 11th Tom Whiting. Heat race number 2 went to Doug Wolfgang, second Chris East, third Jack Hunshaw, fourth and final transfer Ray Lipsy. Fifth was Bobby Davis, sixth Todd Bishop, seventh Marlon Jones, eighth Danny Young, ninth Terry Thorson, 10th Rick Haas, and did not start with 11th was Jim Grafton. Heat race number 3 went to Shane Carson, second Craig Hill, third the Tony Armstrong, fourth of all transfer Danny Toman, fifth went to Galen Martin, sixth Kenny McCarl, seventh Bob Lee, eighth Dave Blaney, ninth Billy Vilhauer, 10th Gabby Lusk, and 11th was Danny Losowski as it did not start. Heat race number 4 went to Jerry Richards, second Tommy Estes, third Randy Smithworth for final transfer Terry McCarl, fifth was Johnny Herrera, sixth Jeff Tull, 17 Jay Gates, eighth Michael Lapelius, ninth Jeff Wilkie, 10th Bobby Hausman, and 11th Jerry Jensen. The Dash, Steve Kinzer was the winner of the Dash. Second, Sammy Sonell, third Doug Wolfgang, fourth Jack Hunshaw, fifth Mark Kinzer, and sixth Tony Armstrong. Your remade went to Bobby Davis, second Jeff Tuttle, third Andy Hilberg, fourth Daniel Losowski, fifth Tom Bishop, sixth of all transfer Marlon Jones, seventh was Tim Hudson, eighth Michael Pelias, ninth Johnny Herrera, 10th Gary Dunkel, 11th Bruce Moore, 12th Danny Young, 13th Jeff Wilkie, 14th Kenny McCarl, 15th Jerry Mack, 16th Galen Martin, 17th Tommy Scott, 18th Dave Mulaney. Did not start with Riley Vilhauer, TJ Giddings, Rick Haas, Bob Weed, Bobby Houseman, Tom Whiting, Terry Thorson, Gabby Lusk, Jerry Jensen, and Jim Grafton. The main event went to Mark Kinzer, your winner. Second, Steve Kinzer. Third, Sammy Snowdell. Fourth was Jack Hunshaw. Fifth was Doug Wolfgang. Sixth, Bobby Davis. Seventh, Andy Hilberg. Eighth, Jeff Tuttle. Ninth, Tommy Estes. 10th, Chris Eash. 11th, Danny Smith. 12th, Tony Armstrong. 13th, Danny Losowski. 14th, Greg Woolley. 15th, Shane Carson. 16th, Jerry Richards. 17th, Tom Bishop. 18th, Marlon Jones. 19th, Terry McCarl. 20th, to Lee Brewer. 21st, to Randy Smith. 22nd, Ray Lipsy. 23rd, Danny Tobin. 24th, Craig Gill. Steve Kinzer led 1 through 15, and then Mark Kinzer led 16 through 20. The next night on the 30th was the second night for the World of Outlaws, as you still had 42 46 cars, but locked in from the night before from the preliminary was the 6 Mark Kidder, the 11 the King Steve Kidder, 1 Lemon Sammy Sonell, and the 18 Jack Hudchild. So those cars did not have to run to the dash. Your quick time was the 48 of Dave Blaney and at 16:9:35. Second was the 2 of Andy Hillenberg at 17:1:11. Third, the 40 Doug the Wolf Wolfgang at a 17:2:28. Fifth was the 57 Danny Smith at a 17:2:43. Fifth, 23 Greg Rowley at a 17:2:65. Sixth was the 49 of Danny Lasowski at a 17:2:70. Jeff Tuttle, the 10T, was seventh at a 17:2:94. Eighth was the 10 of Bobby Davis at 17:3:31. Ninth, the 1ST of Tommy Estes at a 17:3:54. 20th was Randy Smith. It was 10th in the 20 at a 17:3:64. 11th, the 34 Gary Dunkel at a 17:3:80. 12th, the 45X Johnny Herrera at a 17:3:82. 13th was the 39 of Lee Brewer at a 17:3:91. 14th was the 47 of Jim Grafton at a 17:4:31. 15th to 17E of Chris Eash at a 17:4:35. Tony Armstrong in the 10M was 16th at a 17:4:70. 17th, the 8 of Craig Hill at a 17:5:79. The 45 of Ray Lipsy was 18th quick at a 17:5:83. 19th was the 4S or the 74S of Tommy Scott at 17:5:84. 20th was the 12X of Shane Carson at 17:6:09. 21st, the 3 of TJ Giddings at 17:6:94. 22nd was the T-Mac Terry McCarl, the 7X at 17:7:27. 23rd was the 8X of Kenny McCarl at 17:7:83. 24th was the 1W Tim Hudson at a 17:8:06. 25th, the 81 of Jerry Richard at a 17:8:44. 26th, the 9J of Marlon Jones at 17:8:56. 27th, the 3 Danny Young at 17:8:63. The 28th quick was the 2X of Bruce Moore at 17:8:64. 29th, the 2M of Galen Martin at an 18:0:76. 30th was Jeff Wilkie at 76 at an 18:0:88. Jerry Mack in the 30 was 31st and 27 at a 18:101. 32nd was the 12 of Billy Vilhauer at an 18:2:02. Spike Lapelius in the 52 was 33rd at an 18:5:28. 34th was the 96 of Tom Whiting at an 18:5:48. 35th was the 18B of Bobby Houseman at an 18:6:37. 36th, the 2V of Danny Tobin at 16:6:94. The 37th quickest was the 19 of Bob Weave at 8:20. 38th was the 1 J of Terry Thorson at a 19:2:34. Jerry Jensen in the 4 was 39th at 18:9:88. 40th was the 40X of Greg Helms at 25:04. 41st, the 86 of Todd Bishop with no time. And no time in 42nd was the 77 of Gabby Lusk. And then we mentioned Mark Kidder, Steve Kidder, Sammy Swindell, and Jack Hutchon was locked in from the night before. Heat races. Picking up the win was in Heat Race 1 was the Dave Blaney. Second, Tommy Estes. Third to Lee Brewer. Fourth, the final transfer, TJ Studs. Fifth went to Greg Rowley. Sixth, Jerry Richards. Seventh, Galen Martin. Eighth, Michael Pelias. Ninth, Craig Keel. 10th, Bob Weave. And 11th, to Todd Bishop. Heat Race 2 went to Terry McCarl. Second, Randy Smith. Third, Andy Hilberg. Fourth, the final transfer, Ray Lipsy. Fifth was Danny Lasowski. Sixth, Jim Grafton. Seventh, Marlon Jones. Eighth, Tom White. Credited with ninth was Jeff Wilkie. 10th, Terry Thorson. And 11th, Gabby Lusk, as those three did not start. Heat race number 4 went to three went to Chris East. Second, Tommy Scott. Third, Doug Wolfgang. Fourth, the final transfer, Gary Dunkel. Fifth went to Jeff Tuttle. Sixth to Kenny McCarl. Seventh, Bobby Houseman. Eighth, Jerry Jensen. Ninth, Danny Young. 10th, Jerry Mack. Heat race number 4 went to Shane Carson. Tony Armstrong second. Third, Danny Smith. Went to final transfer, Tim Hudson. Fifth was Bobby Davis. Sixth, Bruce Moore. Seventh, Billy Vielhauer. Eighth, Greg Helms. Ninth, Danny Tobin. And 10th, Johnny Herrera. There was no dash, so we go to the B main. Picking up the win was Bobby Davis. Second to Danny Lasowski. Third to Jeff Tuttle. Fourth of all, transfer, Greg Woolley. Fifth was Craig Hill. Sixth, Jerry Richards. Seventh, Marlon Jones. Eighth, Michael Pelia. Ninth, Kenny McCarl. 10th, Bruce Moore. 11th, Billy Vielhauer. 12th, Bobby Houseman. 13th, Tom Whiting. 14th, Jerry Mack. 15th, Jim Grafton. 16th, Danny Tobin. 17th, Galen Ward. 18th, Jeff Wilkie. The rest did not start. Was Bob Weave, Terry Thorson, Jerry Jensen, Greg Helms, Todd Bishop, Gabby Lusk, Johnny Herrera, and Danny Young. In the feature, your winner was Steve Kidder. Second, Dave Blaney. Third, Danny Smith. Fourth, Randy Smith. Fifth, Jeff Tuttle. Sixth, Greg Woolley. Seventh, Danny Lasowski. Eighth, the Bobby Davis. Ninth, Tony Armstrong. 10th, the Tommy Scott. 11th, Shane Carson. 12th, Ray Lipsy. 13th, Terry McCarl. 14th, Tim Hudson. 15th to Andy Hilberg. 16th, Tommy Estes. 17th, TJ Gates. 18th, Jack Hochall. 19th, Sammy Tonell. 20th, Mark Kinder. 21st, Doug Wolfgang. 22nd, Gary Dunkel. 23rd, Lee Brewer. 24th, Chris Eash. Steve Kinder led 1 through 25. Next on our journey through classic results, as the Outlaws turn, as we turn the page to the was April 30th, 1993, as the World of Outlaws rolled in on a Friday evening. There was 50 cars, went through qualifications. Picking up the quick time was the 5, the new Dave Lasowski at a 15:992. Second, the 7C, Joe Gertie at 16:145. Third was the 5 Emma Markinder at 16:190. Fourth, the 10 of Dave Blaney at a 16:202. Fifth was the 0 of Randy Smith at a 16:214. Sixth, the 71M, the Mouse, Kenny Jacobs at a 16:220. Seventh, the 55 of Max Snomsey at a 16:224. Eighth was the 11, the King Steve Kidder at 16:250. Ninth was the 77 of Stevie Smith at 16 309. 10th was the 8 of Craig Hill at a 16, 310. 11th was the 29 of Johnny Herrera at a 16, 346. 12th was the 39 of Bob White at a 16, 368. 13th was the 10V of Gary Brazier at a 16, 419. 14th, the 97B of Aaron Berryhill at a 16, 426. 15th, the 2 of Andy Hillenberg at 16, 428. 16th was the 66 of Kenny McCarl at 16, 457. 17th was the 22, the Wild Child, Jack Hunchild at a 16, 488. 88. 18th, the 6-7 of Tim Munson at 16, 509. 19th was the D1 of Marlon Jones at 16, 546. 20th, the 2GD of Jeff Sondell at 16, 449. The 11X of Gary Lee Meyer was 21st at 16, 563. 22nd was the 59 of Brent Antill at 16, 567. 23rd, the 51J of Ryan Jamison at 16, 572. 24th, the 12X of Danny Smith at 16, 588. 25th quick was the 4A of Greg Hodnett at 16, 605. 26th, the 02 of Mike Reinke at 16, 651. 27th, the 17W of Bobby Davis at 16, 663. 28th, the 106.9 of Bob Weave at 16, 665. 29th, the 27 of T-Mac Taylor Carl at 16, 679. 30th, 86 of John Carney at a 16, 763. 31st was the 12 of Skip Jackson at a 16, 795. 32nd was the 21 of Steve Meitler at a 16, 947. 33rd was the 47 of Ricky Logan at a 16, 696. 24th or 34th was the 28W Tom Wessels at 17, 656. Or 17056. 35th, the 97 of or 6 of Tom Whitey at 170975. 36th, the 5T of Jamie Boyle at 17086. 37th, the 92 of Fred Branfield at 17112. 38th, the 3B of Jerry Richard at 17156. Jimmy Carr was 39th in the 65 at 17180. 40th was the 7 of Kevin Doty at a 17200. 41st, the 97 of Chad Millenbrandt at a 17223. The 16 of Leonard Lee was 42nd at 17254. 43rd was the 71 of Dennis Rohr at 17281. 44th, the 1K of the Crown Pleaser Craig Delansky at a 17440. 45th was Bobby or Troy Parsons in the 57C at 17946. 46th, the 17W of Kenny Williams at 18110. 47th, the 15 of Bobby Meitzer at an 18361. 48th was the 31 of Jim Nichols at a 18709. 49th, the 56 of Chris Walraven at a 19100. And 50th, the 8 of Lisa French with no time. He raced number 1 with to Max Stumsey. Second to Danny Lasowski. Third, Skip Jackson. Fourth, the file transfer, Joe Gertie. Fifth was Jamie Moyle. Sixth, Gary Lemeyer. Seventh, Mike Rickey. Eighth, Chad Millenbrand. Ninth, Kenny Williams. And then on started 10th was Kenny McCarl. Heat race 2 went to Steve Kinzer. Second, Bobby Davis. Third, DeMar Kinzer. Fourth, the file transfer, Jack Hunchild. Fifth was Randy Antel. Sixth, Bob White. Seventh, Steve Meitler. Eighth, Larry Lee. Ninth, Brendan Brownfield. And 10th, Bobby Meitzer. Heat race number 3 went to Stevie Smith. Second to Bob Weave. Third, Dave Blaney. Fourth and final transfer was Tim Munson. Fifth was Gary Brazier. Sixth, Dennis Moore. Seventh, Jerry Richard. Eighth, Ricky Logan. Ninth, Ryan Jameson. And 10th, Jim Nichols. Heat race number 4 went to Terry McCarl. Second, Danny Smith. Third, Aaron Berryhill. Fourth and final transfer was Marlon Jones. Fifth was Randy Smith. Sixth, Craig Kill. Seventh, Craig Delansky. Eighth, Tom Wessels. Ninth, Jimmy Carr. And 10th, Chris Walraven. Heat race number 5 went to Jess Liddell. Second, Andy Hillenberg. Third, Kenny Jacobs. Fourth, and final transfer, Johnny Herrera. Fifth, Greg Condit. Sixth, John Carney. Seventh, Kevin Doty. Eighth, Tom Whiting. Ninth, Troy Parsons. And 10th, Lisa French. In the C main, your order was Dennis Moore. Second and final transfer, Craig Delansky. Third, Kenny Williams. Fourth, Troy Parsons. Fifth, literally. Sixth, Bobby Meitzer. And the rest were dead on starts. In Chad Millenbrand, Chris Walraven, Jim Nichols, Lisa French. In the dash, it was Steve Kinzer. Second, Max Nosey. Third, Dave Blenny. Fourth, Kenny Jacobs. Fifth, Mark Kinzer. Sixth, Joe Gertie. In the B main, your winner was Greg Hodnett. Second, Craig Keel. Third, Brett Antill. Fourth and final transfer to Bob White. Fifth was Jamie Wells. Sixth, Gary Lemeyer. Seventh, Gary Razor. Eighth, Ricky Logan. Ninth, Mike Ranke. 10th, Craig Delansky. 20th, Tom White. 21st, Tom Whistles. 12th, Tom Whistles. 13th, Dennis Moore. 14th, Fred Brownfield. 15th, Jimmy Carr. 16th, Randy Smith. 17th, Kevin Doty. 18th, Steve Meitler. 19th, Jerry Richard. And 20th, John Carney. In the feature, it was Dave Losowski, your winner. Second, Steve Kinzer. Third, Mark Kinzer. Fourth, Kenny Jacobs. Fifth, Stevie Smith. Sixth, Johnny Herrera. Seventh, Dave Lady. Eighth, Jess Liddell. Ninth, Joe Gertie. 10th, Jack Conchild. 11th, Terry McCarl. 12th, the Max Dubsey. 13th, Aaron Berryhill. 14th, Danny Smith. 15th, Greg Hodnett. 16th, Marlon Jones. 17th, Brandon Till. 18th, Tim Munson. 19th, Skip Jackson. 20th, Bobby Davis. 21st, Bob White. 22nd, Craig Hill. 23rd, Andy Hillenberg. And 24th, the Bob Weave. Steve Kinzer led 1 through 19. Losowski led 20. Then the next night was rained out. So now we'll go to 1996 as it'll be April 26, 1996 as we look at the Friday night portion. 52 cars. We go through time trials. And quick time was the 11, the King Steve Kinzer at a 15:5:56. Second, the 5 Emma Mark Kinzer at a 15:7:79. Third was the 47 Johnny Herrera at a 15:8:57. Fourth, the 3G of Joe Gertie at an 18:8:74. Fifth was the 10 of Dave Blaney at a 15:8:89. The Meldrick Bullet, Joey Saldana in the 83 was 6 at a 15:9:46. Seventh, the 56 of Chris Walraven at a 968. 8th, T-Mac Terry McCarl, the 51, at a 15,993. 9th, the 22, the Wild Child Jack Concho, at a 16,075. 10th was 81 of Jerry Richard at a 16,150. 11th, the 55 of Steve Meitler at a 16,172. 12th was the 2 of Andy Hilberg at a 16,253. 13th, the 1BK and Don Drought at a 16,272. 14th was the 4 Jamie Moyle at a 16,273. 15th was the 17W Jeff Sonell at a 16,277. 16th was the 10V of Skip Jackson at 16,328. 17th, the 5, the new Dave Losowski at 16,342. 18th was the 71 Emma Stevie Smith at a 16,415. 19th, the 28 of Brian Paulus at a 16,417. 20th was the 51J Ryan Jameson at a 16,428. 21st, the 11H of Greg Hodnett at a 16,443. 21st, the one that's slamming Sammy Sodell at 16,527. 23rd, the 3B of Randy Smith at 16,544. 24th, the 02 of Mike Reiki at a 16,591. 25th, the 19 of Bob Weave at a 16,609. I was wrong on Honda was the 11X. The 626 was the 11H of Dion Hindi at a 16,661. 27th, the 1J of Marlon Jones at a 16,680. 28th was the 96th of Scott Breezy Winworth at a 16,687. 29th, the 15 of Donnie Schatz at a 16,691. 30th was the 9S of Pat Moore at a 16,700. 31st was the 21 of Lance Levens at a 16,716. 32nd was the 7 of Dennis Moore at a 16,803. 32nd was the 2 of Tony Morrow at a 16,833. 34th was the 5MA of Mallory Armfield at a 16,869. 35th, the 1B of Brent Antill at a 16,885. 36 with the 69 Mark Schweizer at a 16,951. 37th to 71 of Manny Rockhold at a 17,022. 38th, the 14 of Norton Doty at a 17,052. 39th was the 86 of John Carney at 17,108. 40th was the 57th C of Troy Parsons at a 17,126. 41st to 51J of Jeff Patrician at a 17,148. 42nd to 7M of Jimmy Carr at a 17,179. 43rd, the 12 of Bob White at a 17,283. 44th was the 2M of Sean Moore at 17,312 or 912. 45th, the 92 of Travis Graham at 17,429. 46th, 56C of Gerald Crescent at 17,937. 47th, the 9 of Rich Muback at 17,940 or 594. 48th, the 66 of Kenny McCarl at 16,714. 49th, the 57 of Steve Brazil at a 17,959. 50th was the 22A of Eddie Levitt at an 18,311. 51st was the 8 of Al Hardgrave as 18-7-47, and 52nd was the 17 or 16-0 literally at 19-224. Heat race 1 went to Greg Hodnett, second to Skip Jackson, third Joey Saldana, fourth and final transfer Steve Kinzer. Fifth was Steve Meitler, sixth Dion Hindy, seventh Mark Schweitzer, eighth Jeff Patrician, ninth Al Hargrove, 10th Gerald Cressman, 11th Lance Mullins. Heat race 2 went to Mark Kinzer, second Sammy Slidell, third Andy Hillenberg, fourth and final transfer Daniel Soski. Fifth was Chris Walraven, sixth Marlon Jones, seventh Rich Buback, eighth Des Moore, ninth Jimmy Carr, 10th Manny Rockhold, and credited with 11th and did not start was Leonard Lee. Heat race 3 went to Scott Breezy Winworth. Second was Stevie Smith. Third, Terry McCarl. Fourth and final transfer, Don Drown. Was fifth, Johnny Herrera. Sixth, Bob White. Seventh, Randy Smith. Eighth, Tony Morrow. Ninth, Kenny McCarl. And 10th, Denor Doty. Heat race number 4 went to Jack Conchild. Second, Joe Gertie. Third, Donnie Schatz. Fourth, final transfer, Mike Rinke. Fifth was Brian Paulus. Sixth, Sean Moore. Seventh, Jamie Boyle. Eighth, Steve Brazil. Ninth, Mallory Armfield. And credited with 10th and did not start was John Carney. Heat race number 5 went to Dave Blaney. Second, Jeff Liddell. Third, to Jerry Richard. Fourth and final transfer, Troy Parsons. Fifth was Red Antilles. Sixth, Ryan Jameson. Seventh, Travis Cram. Eighth, to Pat Moore. Ninth, to Bob Weave. And did not start. 10th was Eddie Levitt. C-Main action took 3 to the back of the B. Your winner was Dor Doty, second, Bob White, third, and final transfer was Sean Moore. Fourth to Jimmy Carr, fifth, Travis Cram, sixth, Richie Muhammad, seventh, Kenny McCarl, eighth, Jeff Patricia, ninth, Al Hargrove. And then did not start were Gerald Craftsman, Steve Brazil, Leonard Lee, and John Carney. In the dash, it was Steve Kinzer, your winner. Second, Mark Kinzer. Third, Dave Blaney. Fourth, Joe Gertie. Fifth, Terry McCarl. Sixth, Joey Saldana. Seventh, Jack Conchild. And eighth to Jerry Richard. Your B-Main went to Johnny Herrera. Second, Steve Eitler. Third, Jamie Boyle. Fourth, and final transfer, Chris Walraven. Fifth was Lance Levin. Sixth, Dion Hindy. Seventh, Sean Moore. Eighth, Randy Smith. Ninth, Dennis Moore. 10th, Bob White. 11th, Ryan Jameson. 12th, Tony Morrow. 13th, Thornton Doty. 14th, Marlon Jones. 15th, the Bob Weave. 16th, Mark Spicer. 17th, Mallory Arnfield. 18th, Red Antle. 19th, Manny Rockhold. 20th, Brian Paulus. That did not start was Pat Moore. The A-May went to Mark Kinzer. Second, Dave Blaney. Third, Steve Kinzer. Fourth, to Johnny Herrera. Fifth, Jack Conchild. Sixth, Daniel Lasowski. Seventh, Terry McCarl. Eighth, Sammy Soldell. Ninth, Joe Gertie. 10th, Andy Hillenberg. 11th, to Stevie Smith. 12th, Jess Liddell. 13th, Joey Saldana. 14th, Skip Jackson. 15th, Steve Meitler. 16th, Jerry Richards. 17th, Donnie Schatz. 18th, Don Drown. 19th, Jamie Boyle. 20th, Mike Ranke. 21st, Scott Breezy Woodward. 22nd, Troy Parsons. 23rd, Chris Walraven. 24th, to Greg Honda. Lap leader was Mark Kinzer 1 through 20. The next night was the 27th of 1996. And we had 49 there. 49 went through time trials plus the locked in cars of Mark Kinzer, Dave Blaney, Steve Kinzer, and Johnny Herrera. So quick time was the one of Slam and Sammy Sonell at a 15:6:51. Second to 83, the Browns were goal. Joey Saldana at a 15:8:35. Third was the 10V of Skip Jackson at 16,067. Fourth was the 22, the Wild Child, Jack Hutchon at 16,139. Fifth, the 55 of Steve Meitler at 16,191. Sixth was T-Mac Taylor Carl's 51 at a 16,289. Seventh was the 2 of Andy Hilberg at a 16,327. Eighth, the 71M of Stevie Smith at a 16 through 48. Ninth, the 1BK of Don Drown at a 16,356. 10th was the 3G of Joe Gurney at a 16,364. 11th was the 5, the Dude Dave Lasowski at a 16,401. 12th was the 96 of Scott Breezy Woodworth at a 16,438. 13th was the 1 of Marlon J. and Marlon Jones at a 16,441. 14th was the 21 of Lance Lovitz at a 16,471. 15th was the 81 of Jerry Richard at a 16,474. 16th was the 17W Jesseldell at a 16,495. 17th to 75 of Randy Hannigan at a 16,508. 18th to 2 of Tony Morrill at a 16,526. 19th to 12 of Bob White at a 16,529. 20th to 4 of Jamie Boyle at a 16,448. The 11X of Greg Hodnett was 21st at 16,668. 22nd was the 56 of Chris Hallraven at 16,678. 23rd, the 02 of Mike Grinke at a 16,698. 24th, the 2X of Sean Moore at a 16,719. 25th, the 7M of Jimmy Carr at a 16,723. 26th to 28 of Brian Paulus at a 16,676. 27th was the 86 of John Carney at 16,832. 28th, the 15 of Donnie Shots at a 16,835. 29th, the 50 of Kevin Doty at a 1703. 31st, the 51J of Ryan Jameson at a 17,035. 31st, the 19 of Bob White Weave at 17,055. The 1K of Leonard Lee was 32nd at a 17,113. 33rd was the 5J of Jeff Richardson at 17,114. 34th was the 14 of Dorn Doty at 17,116. 35th, the 9S of Pat Moore at 17,121. 36th, was the 92 of Travis Graham at 17,142. 37th was the 57C of Troy Parsons at 17,164. 38th, the 3B of Randy Smith at 17,222. 39th was the 11H of Dion Hindi at 17,235. Chad Rydell, the 69S, was 40th at 17,359. 41st, the 7 of Dennis Moore at 17,460. 42nd was the 71 of Danny Rockhold at 17,564. Rich Buback in the 9 was 23rd at 17,645. 44th, the 56C of Gerald Crescent at 17,872. 45th, the 8 of Al Hargrove at 18,158. The 46th was the 69 of Mark Schweitzer. No time. Bowery Arnfield of the 5MA was 42nd, 7th, no time. 48th, 66, Kenny McCarl, no time. 49th, the 1B, and Ready until no time. And we mentioned the cars already locked into the dash. Heat race 1 went to Sammy Sonell, 2nd to Randy Hannigan, 3rd, Marlon Jones, 4th of all transfer Greg Honda. 5th was Steve Meitler, 6th, Jimmy Carr, 7th, Kevin Doty, 8th, Troy Parsons, 9th, Jeff Patrician, 10th, Don Brown, 11th, Al Hargrove, 12th, to Dennis Moore, and credited with 13th was Brady Antel. Heat race 2 went to Joe Gertie, 2nd, Joey Saldana, 3rd, Terry McCarl, 4th of all transfer Lance Levens, 5th, Chris Warren, 6th, Tony Morrow, 7th, Ryan Jameson, 8th, Brian Paulus, 9th, Randy Rockhold, 10th, Randy Smith, 11th, Thornton Doty, and 12th to Mark Spicer. Heat race number 3 went to Daniel Lasowski, 2nd, Andy Hilber, 3rd, Jerry Richard, 4th of all transfer Skip Jackson. 5th went to Mike Granke, 6th, Rich Rumack, 7th, Bob White, 8th, Bob Weave, 9th, Dion Hindy, 10th, to Pat Moore, and credited with 11th, did not start, was John Carty, and 12th, Mallory Arnfield. Heat race number 4 went to Jeff Swindell, 2nd, Jack Hunshaw, 3rd, Stevie Smith, 4th of all transfer Sean Moore. 5th was Jamie Moyle, 6th, Donnie Schott, 7th, Leonard Lee, 8th, Travis Graham, 9th, Scott Breezy Woodward, 10th, Chad Rydell, 11th, Daryl Crescent, and credited with 12th and did not start was Kenny McCarl. In the C main, your winner was Dion Hindy. 2nd and final transfer Rich Buback. 3rd was Troy Parsons, 4th, Travis Cram, 5th, Randy Smith, 6th, Randy Rockhold, 7th, Gerald Crescent, 8th, Kenny McCarl, 9th, Al Hargrave, 10th to Mark Spicer, and did not start were Dennis Moore, Chad Rydell, Mallory Arnfield, Renee Till. In the dash, your winner was Mark Kinzer, 2nd, Steve Kinzer, 3rd, Dave Blaney, 4th, Johnny Herrera, 5th, Sammy Sonell, and 6th, Joey Saldana. In the BA, your winner was Scott Breezy Woodward, 2nd, Steve Meitler, 3rd, Don Drown, 4th of all transfer Jamie Boyle. 5th was Tony Morrill, 6th, Donnie Shots, 7th, Mike Rickey, 8th, Chris Warren, 9th, Bob Weave, 10th, or Bob White, 10th, Jimmy Carr, 11th, Kevin Doty, 12th, Dion Hindy, 13th, Ryan Jameson, 14th, Rich Ruback, 15th, Brian Paul, 16th, Bob Weave, 17th, literally, 18th, Jeff Patrician. Did not start for John Carty, Doran Doty, and Pat Moore. In the feature, it was Mark Kidger, winner, 2nd, Steve Kinzer, 3rd, Dave Blaney, 4th, Sammy Sodell, 5th, Daniel Sosky, 6th, Jess Liddell, 7th, Joey Saldana, 8th, Stevie Smith, 9th, Terry McCarl, 10th, Joe Gertie, 11th, Skip Jackson, 12th, Greg Hodnett, 13th, Andy Hilberg, 14th, Jack Hodghoff, 15th, Steve Meitler, 16th, Jerry Richards, 17th, Randy Hannigan, 18th, Lance Levens, 19th, Don Brown, 20th, Marlon Jones, 21st, Johnny Herrera, 22nd, Jamie Well, 23rd, Scott Breezy Woodward, 24th, Sean Moore, Mark Kinder led 1 through 25. Now we go on our tour to May 1st of 04 as 45 410s signed in for competition. Or, no. Excuse me, 64. I was looking at the 360 car count. So 64 410s signed into competition. Your quick time was the 15K at Chad Kemena at a 15:8:32. Second to 10C, Jeremy Campbell at 16:0. 58. Third was the 83 junior Tim Koenig at 16.059. Fourth was the 2, the Brownsburg Gold, Joey Sundin at 16.067. Fifth, the 7, the Crop Leader Craig Delansky at 16.086. Sixth, the 5 Emma Mark Kinzer at 16.108. Seventh, the 5J Jeff Patrician at 16.124. Eighth, the 70 of Calvin Landis at 16.144. Ninth, the 50D of the Raging Cajun Jason Johnson at 16.175. 10th, the V10 John Vandenberg at 16.180. 11th was the 2X of Skip Jackson at 16.200. 12th, the 6 of Brian Brown at 16.200. 13th, the 14 of Jason Myers at 16.207. 14th, the 16 of Aaron Crocker at 16.212. 15th, the 22 of Billy Alley at 16.222. 16th, the 5 of Tyler Walker at 16.228. 17th, the dude Danny Losowski in the 20 at 16.239. 18th was the 47 of Matt Morrow at 16.245. 19th was the 14 AJ of Wayne Johnson at a 16.253. 20th was the 11H of Paul McMahon at 16.263. 21st was the R19 of Randy Anderson at 16.266. 22nd, the 1A of Eddie Levitt at 16.280. 23rd, the 1X, the Hurricane Randy Hannigan at 16.281. 24th, the 28 of Brian Paulus at 16.292. 25th was the 1W Chad Meyer at 16.297. 26th, the 1969 of Mike Moore at a 16.298. 27th was the 92 of Travis Cramp at a 16.302. 28th, the 75 the Rocket Jesse Hockett at a 16.360. 29th, the 35 of Jonathan Allard at a 16.379. 30th was the 15 Emma Bobby Meitzer at 16.390. 31st was the 11 the King Steve Kinzer at 16.413. 32nd the 1 of Brent Antill at 16.420. 33rd the 1S of Jamie Moyle at 16.436. 34th the 83 of Tim Schaefer at a 16.444. 35th the 56 of Chris Warren at 16.446. Josh Shigday in the 83X was 36th at a 16.450. 37th, the D1 Jesse Giannetto at 16.463. 38th, the 5T of Mark Taves at a 16.472. 39th, the 66 of Brooke Tatnall at a 16.479. 40th, the 02 Mike Reiki at a 16.486. 41st, the ANS of Tim St. Arnold at a 16.489. 42nd, 17G of Ricky Logan at a 16.490. 43rd was the 15 of Donnie Schatz at 16.513. 44th was the 60 of Colin Northley at 16.542. 45th, the 55, the Batman Kerry Matson at 16.553. 46th, the 7S of Jason Sides at 16.555. 47th, the 18 of Jason Sowald at 16.587. 28th, the T-Mac Taylor McCarl. And then 24 at 16.588. 49th to 21 to Darren Pittman at 16,598. 50th, 11K Craig Kidser at 16,624. 51st, the 12L John Lamberts at 16,647. The 11J and Jeff Johnson was 52nd at a 16,771. 53rd was the 2K of Kevin Fry at 16,675. 54th, the 10 of Linton Jeffrey at 16,777. 55th was the 44M of Mark Hearn at 16,336. 56th was the 15X of Gerald Slaker at 16,963. 57th, the 4M of Shane Stewart at 16,990. 58th, the 14 of Randy Martin at 16,992. 59th was the 71R of Ryan Anderson at 17,206. 60th was the 35X of Greg Jones at 17,206. Larry Ball and the 7X was 61st at a 17,540. 62nd to 71 Robert Bell at 17,569. 30th to 50th of Tyler Houseman at an 18,292. And 64th to 40th Clay Gardner at 22,124. He raced number 1 with Daniel Osowski, 2nd Tyler Walker, 3rd Brian Pauls, 4th Jason Johnson, 5th of all Transfer Chad Kevin on 6th Kerry Madison, 7th Jonathan Allard, 8th Kevin Landis, 9th Jesse Gianello, 10th Tim St. Arnold, 11th Jamie Well, 12th Chad Meyer. Heat race 2 went to Randy Hannigan, 2nd Matt Morrill, 3rd Billy Alley, 4th Tim Schaefer, 5th of all Transfer Jeremy Campbell. 6th was Jason Side, 7th Mike Moore, 8th Ricky Logan, 9th John Vandenberg, 10th Bobby Meitzer, 11th Mark Taves, and 12th Jeff Patrician. He race number 3 went to Wayne Johnson, 2nd Steve Kinzer, 3rd Donnie Schatz, 4th Tim Katie, 5th of all transfer Mark Kinzer. 6th was Travis Cram, 7th Skip Jackson, 8th Jason Sumwald, 9th Chris Warner, 10th Rick Tatnell, 11th Aaron Crocker, and did not start in 12th was at 11th. Heat race number 4 with the Paul McMahon, 2nd Randy Anderson, 3rd Jason Myers, 4th Craig Delansky, 5th and final changers Terry McCarl, 6th Mike Grinke, 7th Colin Northley, 8th Jesse Hockett, 9th Joey Sundana, 10th Brian Brown, 11th Brady Antel, 12th Josh Ignay. The D main took 4 cars. Your winner was Craig Kinzer, 2nd Darren Pittman, 3rd Shane Stewart, 4th Jeff Johnson, 4th of all transfer, or 5th of all transfer was Larry Ball. 6th Randy Martin, 7th Clint Gardner, 8th Gerald Slinker, 9th Robert Bell, 10th Mike Tyler Houseman. The rest were DNSs. John Lamberts, Kevin Fry, Lynn Jeffrey, Mark Hearn, Ryan Anderson, Greg Jones, and Brian Carlson. In the C main, your winner was Mike Rickey, 2nd Josh Shigney, 3rd Ricky Logan, 4th Shane Stewart, 5th of all transfer Jason Scythe, 6th Craig Kinzer, 7th Jason Sowald, 8th Kerry Matson, 9th Larry Ball, 10th Chris Warrior, 11th Mark Taves, 12th Jeff Johnson, 13th Colin Northley, 14th Darren Pittman, 15th Tim St. Laurel did not start Jesse Giannetto and Brooke Tatnell. Dash number 1 went to Mark Kinzer, 2nd Jason Myers, 3rd Tim Katie, 4th Chad Kavanaugh, 5th to Paul McMahon, 6th Matt Morrill, 7th Tyler Walker, and 8th Randy Hannigan. Dash number 2 went to Jason Johnson, 2nd to Craig Delansky, 3rd Billy Alley, 4th Daniel Lasowski, 5th Jeremy Campbell, 6th to Wade Johnson, 7th, Brian Paulson, 8th, Randy Anderson. In the B main, your winner was Joey Saldana, 2nd, Jason Sines, 3rd, Brian Brown, 4th, of all transfer, Calvin Landis. 5th was Skip Jackson, 6th, John Vandenberg, 7th, Jonathan Aller, 8th, Jesse Hockett, 9th, Mike Granke, 10th, Shane Stewart, 11th, Chad Meyer, 12th, John Shigney, 13th, Mike Moore, 14th, Jamie Wall, 15th, Bobby Meitzer, 16th, Travis Cramp, 17th, Ricky Logan. Did not start were Brent Antill, Jeff Patricia, Eddie Levitt, and Aaron Crocker. In the feature, your winner was Mark Kinder, 2nd, Chad Kavanaugh, 3rd, Danny Losowski, 4th, Tim Schaefer, 5th, Tim Kading, 6th, Craig Delansky, 7th, Donnie Schatz, 8th, Jason Myers, 9th, Steve Kinzer, 10th, Jason Sines, 11th, Wayne Johnson, 12th, Randy Hannigan, 13th, Jason Johnson, 14th, Danny Pittman, 15th, Kerry Madsen, 16th, Brian Brown, 17th, Jeremy Campbell, 18th, Paul McMahon, 19th, Randy Anderson, 20th, Craig Kinder, 21st, Calvin Landis, 22nd, Billy Alley, 23rd, Joey Saldana, 24th, Tyler Walker, 25th, Ryan Paul, 26th, Terry McCarl, 27th, Matt Morrow, 28th, Ricky Logan. Mark Kinder led 1 through 25. We have 2 more results. As on 5-2 of 09, the World of Outlaws were in town. Where 47 World of Outlaw cards signed in for competition. Your quick time was the 15 of 90 shots at a 14 of 592. Second to 6, the New Day Losowski, that's 14 670. Third to 7S to Jason Sines at a 14 710. The Wild Child Jack Conchild in the R19 was 4th at a 14 847. 5th was T-Mac Terry McCarl in the 24 at a 14 879. 6th, the 21 of Brian Brown at a 14 972. 7th was the 9, the Brownsburg Wall, Joey Saldana at a 14 984. 8th was the 11, the King Steve Kinzer at a 15 009. 9th, the 10J Linton Jeffrey at a 15 045. The Hurricane Randy Hannigan in the 1X was 10th at a 16 or 15 060 or 50 or 46. 11th, 17G and Dusty Zomer at a 15 063. 12th to 2 is Skip Jackson at a 15 088. 13th to 14 Jason Myers at a 15 088. 14th to 70 Calvin Landis at a 15 125. 15th to 41 the Raging Cajun Jason Johnson at a 15 151. 16th to 21 AU Brooke Tatnall at a 15 157. The Madman Kerry Matson in the 55 17th at a 15 189. 18th to 20th Craig Kinzer at a 15 192. Chris Morgan was in the 7K, was 19th at a 15 197. 20th was the one approximation at a 15 222. 21st to 18th of Tony Bruce at a 15 226. 22nd to 14 AJ and Wayne Johnson at a 15 265. 23rd quick was the 15H, the same Havertine as 15 278. 24th to 19, the 19W of Bob Weave at a 15 294. 25th was the 9P of Rager Phillips at a 15 304. 26th, the 22 of Brian Oldenburger at a 15 328. 27th, the 22A of Billy Alley at a 15 337. 28 the 10 of Slam and Sammy Sonell at a 15 344. 29 the 19 the Crown Pleaser Craig Delansky at 15 346. 30th the 56 of Davey Heskin at 15 379. 31st the 13V of Seth Bramer at a 15 346 or 391. 32nd the 83 of Tim Kading at a 15 417. Tony Lutar in the 4X was 32nd at 15 432. 34th the 2W Johnny Herrera at a 15 459. 35th the 13 of Mark Downmeyer at a 15 481. 36th the 23W Scott Winters at a 15 525. 37th the 69 Mike Moore at a 15 546. 21K of Luke Kennedy was 37th at 15 584. 39th to 71R of Ryan Anderson at 15 17. 40th to 2C of Tony Schilling at a 15 66 or 7 677. 41st was a 17A of Watson McCarl at 15 794. 42nd was the 1PC of Pete Crawl at a 15 800. 43rd, the 3B of Brad Greer at a 15 838. 34th was a 49 Josh Steinerman at a 16 164. 45th, the 71 of Robert Bell at a 17 730. 46th, the 47 Don Drown, no time. And 47th, the 5W Lucas Wolf, no time. Heat race 1 went to Donnie Schatz. Second, Jason Myers. Third, Len Jeffrey. Fourth, Tony Bruce. And fifth, the final transfer, Terry McCarl. Sixth was Kerry Matson. Seventh, Greg Delansky. Eighth, Mike Moore. Ninth, Austin McCarl. 10th, Tony Lutar. 11th, Rager Phillips. And 12th, the Robert did not start, was Robert Bell. He raced 2 with the Brian Brown. Third, Daniel Sosky. Fourth, Randy Hennigan. Fifth, Craig Kinzer. Sixth, Wayne Johnson. Or fifth was Wayne Johnson. Sixth was Kevin Landis. Seventh, Johnny Herrera. Eighth, Brian Oldenburger. Ninth, Don Drown. 10th, Davey Heskin. 11th, Luke Kennedy. And 12th, Pete Crawl. Heat race 3 went to Jason Johnson. Second, Dusty's over. Third, Jason Sides. Fourth, Joey Sundana. Fifth and final transfer, Sam Haferteeth. Sixth, Lucas Walls. Seventh, Ryan Anderson. Eighth, Chris Morgan. Ninth, Mark Downmeyer. 10th, Brad Greer. 11th, Billy Alley. And 12th, to Seth Bramer. He raced 4 went to Steve Kinzer. Second, to Jack Conshaw. Third, Skip Jackson. Fourth, to Brooks Handel. Fifth and final transfer, Tim Katie. Sixth was Sammy Sonell. Seventh, Ronson Mason. Eighth, Josh Steinerman. Ninth, Scott Winters. 10th, Bob Weave. And credited with 11th was Tony Schilling, who did not start. So C-Main, your winner was Pete Carl. Second, final transfer, Josh Steinerman. Third, Lucas Wolf. Fourth, Don Drown. Fifth, Austin McCarl. Sixth, Brad Greer. Seventh, Luke Kennedy. Eighth, Ryan Anderson. The in-on starts were Seth Bramer, Tony Schilling, and Robert Bell. The dash went to Brian Brown. Second, Daniel Lasowski. Third, Terry McCarl. Fourth, Jack Conchaw. Fifth, Steve Kinzer. Sixth, Dusty Zomer. Seventh, Donnie Schatz. Eighth, Jason Johnson. Ninth, Jason Myers. And 10th, Jason Sides. The B-Main, your winner was Craig Delansky. Second, Calvin Landis. Third, Johnny Herrera. Fourth, the final transfer, Motivation. One spot out in fifth was Chris Morgan. Sixth, Tony Lutar. Seventh, Bob Weave. Eighth, Scott Winters. Ninth, Ringer Phillips. 10th, Brian Eldenberger. 11th, Tony Lutar. 12th, Mike Moore. 13th, Davey Haskin. 14th, Kerry Matson. 15th, John Steinerman. 16th, Billy Alley. 17th, Sammy Sonella. Credited with 18th was Pete Crawl. The feature actually went 26 laps. So your winner was Donnie Schatz, second, Tanner McCarl, third, Steve Kinder, fourth, Brian Brown, fifth, Jack Hodgson, sixth, Dave Lasowski, seventh, Jason Johnson, eighth, Jason Sides, ninth, Craig Delansky, 10th, Jason Myers, 11th, Randy Hannigan, 12th, Joey Saldana, 13th, Tim Katie, 14th, Johnny Herrero, 15th, Brooke Tandle, 16th, Kerry Matson, 17th, Wayne Johnson, 18th, Sam Havertine, 19th, Dusty Zomer, 20th, Lucas Walt, 21st, Craig Hinder, 22nd, Tony Bruce, 23rd, Bronson Mason, 24th, Skip Jackson, 25th, Kevin Landis, and 26th, Lynn Jeffrey. Your lap leaders, Barrel 1 through 14, Carl 15 through 20, Shots 21st through 26. And finally, we had fun looking at the results. Now we got to look at upcoming races for this weekend. Tonight is practice night for the 410s. We will have some coverage on our Twitter page. If anything exciting happens or other things from it. Tomorrow night, in action in Knoxville, will be the World of Outlaws with the 410s. Over at the CJ Speedway is their opening night with hobby stocks, stock cars, sport mods, and modifieds. Over at Marshalltown tomorrow night is their now season opener. And on the card is the Carl Premier Late Model Tour. Modifieds, sport mods, mod lights, stock cars, hobby stocks, and the sport compacts. Then Saturday night will be night 2 for the World of Outlaws and Knoxville 410s. And over at the 34 Raceway, be racing action with their now season points opener and season opener with the 305s, sprints, modified, sport mods, stock cars, mini haulers, dirt late models, and hobby stocks all on the card. And then Wednesday night at Southern Iowa Speedway is their season opener with the sport compacts, stock cars, B mods, or sport mods, hobby stocks, and the Crown Vics added to this card this year. We will be back next week with results. Thanks for joining us on this trip through the racing past. We'll be back next week. Always follow the Twitter page for live updates from Knoxville. As usual, we'll have the live updates from there. Live updates tonight, hopefully. And we'll see you next week. And don't forget, if you're on YouTube, check out Marshall Haynes' channel page because there is classic sprint car races from the Knoxville Raceway and the classic podcast. So be sure to check it out. This has been another edition of the Dirt Racing Podcast. Make sure you go to the racetrack, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Dirt Racing Podcast with Marshall Haynes. Follow us on Twitter at dirt_podcast or on Facebook at the Dirt Racing Podcast.